Can I be heard? Is the mic even on? Just had a stroke there. Excuse me, my internet decided to not work today. Yeah. The cough of my dog was heard a mile away. Anyways, yes, it has been a really long time that we have sat down and had a conversation. That will be explained in some time. What today and just in general I have been reminiscing about is the fact that am I boring as a person? Do you ever just think to yourself, am I actually a boring person? Why do I think such way about myself? What had led me to have these assumptions about myself that I might be a boring person? Looking at the background of my life, I should not even consider myself to be a boring person. However, this thought just lingers at the back. It really stems from the personal reflection. I'm a person that thinks quite a lot. I think on a daily basis about my own damn problems that don't even matter to other people, but I think they value way too much. They don't. This exactly comes to the idea of being boring. Now, the definition of boring, it's something that is not interesting or exciting. It's tedious. Now, in the definition of boring itself, there is the word interesting. The definition of interesting is arousing curiosity or interest. It doesn't really help that it has the word interest within the definition, but that's what we're getting. It's just holding or catching the attention, being able to catch the attention. I came to this thought and also I remembered I read a quote. It said, "The cure for boredom is curiosity. There is no cure for curiosity." When it comes to boredom, it's something that we can get rid of by being curious, by being interested in something. It doesn't matter what it is. You can be interested in anime, you can be interested in how paper is made, you can be interested in, I don't know, about polygraphic identity, whatever that means. There's a lot of different interests that people have. Do you display your interests at all times to the people that you're interacting with? Of course not, because if you were to be constantly just telling people only about your interests, that would be very self-centered. But at the same time, if you don't display any sort of connection to any sorts of hobbies or interests, then it makes you to other people, as they say, a boring person. To an instance from Reddit, there was a person that said that when you try talking to someone and it just ends up being a one-way conversation, sometimes the conversations are very dry. We have to take into account what type of conversations that we're having, right? If we're to come up and we have to look at the dynamic, if it's a close friend, you can be like, "Hey, what's up? What's good?" And the person's like, it's good. Maybe they're just having a rough day. Maybe they're just having a rough week. And you can ask them like, "Bro, like, what's up? You don't really talk much." You would usually know how much they talk. But if it's just an interaction at an event, you don't know if the person is an introvert or an extrovert. Like, do they usually talk a lot? Do they have social communicative skills in order for them to have this ongoing conversation that you're willing to have? Like, if you would be talking to me like quantum physics, I would be interested. I would know nothing about it. Like, maybe I've seen like some videos, but it's very much surface level of everything. You need to see when it's a one-way conversation, it doesn't necessarily tell that person is boring. It's just circumstances. They might be a sparkling conversationalist with another person. Just with you, they're not. Don't take it personally. So I don't think inherently that would make someone boring just because they can't talk to you. Maybe you're not giving the right questions. Maybe you're not leading the conversation as coherently as the person usually is used to. Who knows? There was another comment. They said that they find everyone boring. Let's explore that a little bit. Why would a person find everyone boring? Boring except them. They think that they're the shit. It's their narcissistic traits, that they think that they're the best at everything. From the very beginning, that would already be very difficult to talk to that person if you were to reach out to them, because they would not want to talk to anyone. They would think that they know everything the best. It's like psychotic businessmen. They just think that they're always the best. That's why a lot of the times they would try to choose a woman that is dumber, but she's pretty, because they do not allow their ego to get hurt if she speaks her mind or if she's a little bit smarter than them. Oh, I touched a nerve there. But a lot of that very powerful men don't allow next to them a woman that is actually smart, because internally start to feel like they're worthless. Even though in companionship you do need someone that is also as smart, because you will be able to talk to different variety of topics that way. You will not be having a one-way street conversations at all times. But a lot of the people just don't want to hurt their ego, their precious, precious ego. If you're the person that think, oh my god, I will be able to change them. No, you will not be able to change them, honey. You cannot change someone unless they want to be changed. I said what I said. And last but not least, there's this quote that I remember when I was back in high school, but I saw by Oscar Wilde. Someone who deprives you of solitude without providing you company. This is a very powerful quote. With this, it reminded me of the movie Pulp Fiction, and where Mia Wallace was with Vincent Vega with the John Travolta and everything, and they were at the restaurant right before they did the dance, and she asked him a question, which was a beautiful question. She said, "Why do we feel it's necessary to yak about bullshit in order to be comfortable?" And he replies with, "I don't know. That's a good question." And she follows with, "That's when you know you found somebody really special. When you can just shut the fuck up for a minute and comfortably share silence. When you know that you can share the silence with someone, that's when you know you have hit the jackpot. Because if you cannot share a silence with someone, you have this constant need that you need to say something, you need to be providing some sort of attention. That's not your person. That doesn't mean that you're boring. Either you haven't reached the point of being comfortable with one another, or it's just not your person, that you need to put up a facade to be someone else." But then this idea of, am I inherently a boring person? Why do I find myself boring compared to all the other people that are surrounding me? It really nagged me at one point. It really nagged me that I started to question. I think I understood where it might have stemmed from. I do that in conversations. I would be meeting up with some friends or with some people that I know, and they would be having a wonderful conversation about the topic that they know. I am not really familiar with those topics, so I would be sitting in the corner and I would be thinking to myself like, damn, I wish I knew something about this topic so I can also participate, because it just feels like you're an outsider that is just listening to the conversations. It's great to get some knowledge through other people conversing. I was comparing myself to others, meaning that I was comparing my knowledge, my capabilities to other people. And that's not great, because it goes to the theory. It's the self-esteem and self-worth by Rosenberg. He said that showing low self-esteem can greatly contribute to feeling inherently boring. People with low self-worth may undervalue their own interests. I started to think to myself, what you have achieved in life doesn't equal the same achievements or even opportunities that were given to the other person. You were given the opportunities that you are living with. You are giving yourself and creating opportunities right now as an adult for you. When you were growing up, the opportunities that were given to you were a lot of the times given to you by parents. It's not only that you should be grateful, but also it's the fact that you need to understand the circumstances that you're living in, and your curiosity to cure this boredom should feel greater better than you thinking of your incapabilities, because your incapabilities can be, let's say, treated by you finding the time, finding the effort, and putting the effort in getting to know more, spending more time on educational sites or getting more books read, so you are up to date with all of the conversations that can be happening, right? But at the same time, you cannot possibly be up to date with all the knowledge combined with all the people that you meet in your life, because everyone is so different. And if you start comparing with everyone, you will never think that you are enough. You will never think that what you do in your life is enough. You are not valuing the effort that you previously put in yourself. So start recognizing the effort that you already have put in yourself and the effort that you're trying to ameliorate yourself. With you having issues with low self-esteem or low self-worth, you're starting to do self-labeling. And what self-labeling really does, you're just sitting there and you're like, okay, this is who I am, right? You're just sitting there and like, this is who I am, and this is the only person that I will ever be. There's such a thing as growth mindset, and you should be thinking of yourself as having growth mindset, because if you're sticking with one thing, you will never be able to conquer the other impossible tasks that you think you will never be able to do. I realized fear of not having something interesting to share. It comes to the same idea of you being in a group of friends. They're telling all of these stories, these exciting moments that they're having, and you're just like, bro, I don't think my story is worth even talking about, because it's not on the same level or like close to their level, or I can beat their level. That's a wrong mentality to have. At what conversation level your story is. No, at what level your story, at what level of interest your story is. There you go. God, just had a stroke there. To you, you think that story is boring, but to other people, they'll be like, oh my God, you have went through something like this? I cannot believe it. Next time, just try it out. You never know. People's perspectives are very vastly different to what you think. If you don't try out, if you don't share, you will never know. Another thing that we could mention is that there's moments when I have questioned my value because of feeling ordinary or just mundane. My life is not of a celebrity or some influencer or having some different types of events that being called to. It's so comparing my life to theirs. It's so everyone and every day. If you are more of a mundane or ordinary person, you shouldn't think that this is going to be my life. This is all that there is. And this is a theory that was talked about by Rotter, which is the internal versus external locus of control. Rotter essentially had said that there is such a thing as locus of control, like the main point of control, as how strongly we as people believe have control over the situations and experiences affecting our lives. There's, for example, a kid A. It's the external locus. Focus. This kid A believes that everything happens because of things they can't control. If they think they're boring, they'll just say, I'm just born this way. I can't change anything. Things around me make me boring. It makes them feel stuck and powerless. They don't seek out change. They don't seek out to do something with their life. They just say, I'm just born this way, so I will be this way. I'll just stay this way. That's a negative mindset. So but there's kid B, and kid B has the internal locus focus. And this kid believes that they can control or change things because they believe. They believe in themselves. They're a believer. If they feel boring, they think, maybe I can do something new or different. I can find ways to have fun or be interesting. They feel hopeful and empowered. This means that you feeling boring is just you trying to undermine your qualities and your capabilities to do something, and you think that the external world will judge you and you will never be able to succeed in what you do. Now, you see where I'm coming at? Issue that you think that you're boring is literally you. Not Jessica, not John, or whoever there is, you know? It's not because they said. It's not because the world said. It's not the circumstances that you were put in. A lot of the times is your self-will to want to change. To want to change to be better. To want to change to be more interesting. To find hobbies that are interesting to you. Not because someone else said, hey, this hobby is interesting, so I think you should try it. Not saying that you shouldn't try it. You should give it a go and see if you actually enjoy it, but you shouldn't do it just because someone else is doing it. You should be doing it for your own enjoyment, because you will not be boring for yourself. Your boredom and your feeling of that, the fact that you're boring, comes within you. And whatever other person will think that, hey, I don't think that what you do is actually interesting. It's like, okay, did I ask for your opinion? Did I ask for you to tell me what you think of what I do and what I don't really matters to you? No, because I didn't ask what you do, did I? It's the same idea of you should be just prioritizing of what you find interesting. Of course, the emotional impact of you starting to doubt yourself, your value, and you're like, damn, if I think that I'm boring, then what do other people think of me? They don't think of you. They think of themselves just as much as you're thinking of yourself. You coming out and you filming yourself in front of the public, and everyone's like, oh my god, I don't know I should be doing that. Everybody's gonna be staring at me. Yeah, they're gonna stare at you. They might talk about you for like a week to someone, but a lot of the people are just gonna look at you and they're gonna forget about you in the next 5 seconds. So don't think that your boredom, your state that you're in, that you think you're boring, what you find interesting is uniquely interesting to you, is uniquely you. There was, again, this theory by Leon Festinger, the social comparison theory. He said that we value our worth and abilities by comparing ourselves to others, usually someone that we see as superior in some aspect. Why don't you see yourself as the superior? You can see yourself as someone that you can be, as that superior, and become that person, right? It's a great change. If you want to become someone, you should become yourself, and you should discover who that self is. English. Because what it dives into primarily, let's say, is the comparison that we have nowadays. It's through social media. Social media is everywhere. And I will be lying. I will be a pure ass liar if I said that I never compared myself to someone on social media. Up until this day, I still notice myself comparing myself. That I think what I go through and what I live is nothing compared to what they do, but it's just a highlight of their day. It's just the 1% of their life. The rest of it is probably as the same. When you're living your life, how much of it is actually exciting? How much of it do you actually enjoy and think that this is the happiest day of my life? 80% of our life is more mundane than the 20% of happiness. We find the value of happiness to put in our day-to-day life. It can be in the little things, in the morning coffee, in the morning matcha, in the little time off that you're having for yourself to read a book with something that is cozy. It can be you are unwinding and doing some skincare. It's you finding little happiness. It's you finding what is not boring to you. It's you finding that time to do your hobby. It's you finding that time to watch your favorite series, even though if you watched it 500 gazillion times, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you put the meaning. You put the meaning for yourself, not somebody else, not someone else that came up to you and said, hey, I don't think that's meaningful. And it's like, who are you to tell me that? Why would I care if someone told me that they don't find what I do interesting? I shouldn't, because it does not impact how I live. I will still wake up the next day and I will still do it. People that stop doing what other people find not interesting to them, you're lying to yourself, and you should stop lying to yourself, because at the end of the day, who you're going to blame is you're going to blame yourself that you have stopped, and not that person that have told you that they find it boring boring. Social media, being interesting on social media. It's really difficult being yourself nowadays on social media. People are traveling, exploring new places, attending events, breaking out of their usual routines. It, of course, stands out visually. But let's compare the amount of people that actually do that and give us the content and give us this opportunity to see like these events or travel places. It's actually a very small percent. A lot of the times the memes, the reels that you see, it's ordinary people. They're doing like, this is what I cook for lunch, this is what I cook for my kids, this is what I do, how I do my laundry, this is how I fold my laundry. This is what they do. So these little snippets of things that people that are exploring their life to a different way, of course is going to be appealing, and people are going to be like, oh my god, my life is so mundane and it's so uninteresting. Yeah, if you compare it to someone that lives off of this content, they're literally giving you content so they get the views, they are getting paid for it. That's their way of life. That's the way of life that they created for themselves. But most of the people don't live that type of life. When you think about creating content for yourself, right? You would think like, man, the thing that I am going to film today is going to be nothing compared to the other people. So what? At least you're being authentically you. Every single person on earth is not the same. You cannot be similar even in any possible way to another person. Even twins are different. People, no matter what people say, the way that emotions are being regulated, the way that they portray themselves, the way that they are is very much different. So there's not a single person that is identical. So your identity and the way that you portray yourself is inherently already different, already interesting. You don't have to be that person that is going to Norway to show off the hills, or you don't have to be that person. You just have to be you. You just have to show your interests, your thoughts, your opinions, your way that you see life. Because the way that we see life is very different to everyone else. You need to understand that there are authentic people that are actually very unique in their own way, but they have found their uniqueness through exploration of themselves. And at the beginning, they probably were boring. They were boring to a lot of people. But turns out there are other people that are interested in them in their boringness. My take at what I need to work on through this observation of me realizing that I might be a boring person, but actually I am not. I do have to stop and catch myself, and I've been able to catch myself comparing myself to others, especially on social media. I also try to aim to have less social media time because it's not the best thing that has been doing to my mental health. Each time that I notice myself comparing, my mental health is just going down. It's just going downhill because I just realize, oh, I am not as interesting, I am not as beautiful, I'm not as pretty as that person. You are not that person. You are you. Make yourself unique. That's what matters. The value of you thinking that you're boring or you're not, it comes within. It's internal locus focus, okay? Just like our boy Walter said. Lastly, I would like to mention to everything, we need boredom in order to be creative. It's the initial start to everything. If you're overstimulated, just notice yourself. If you're overstimulated about just like social media, the news, the background, and everything that is going on in your life, there is no room for creativity. There is no room for you to realize that you can do something about your life that is different, or you just become the person that doesn't listen to your needs, your wants. You just become the mechanical version of yourself. It's this survival mode. Listen to yourself when you're bored. Give yourself the chance to be bored. Give yourself the chance to not be on social media and sit down and be with your thoughts. It's the time when you will realize that you will have more clarity than anything. You will start to understand yourself on a deeper level that you have been neglecting. At the end of the day, your boredom and your boringness is not defined by someone else, is defined by you. So if you think someone else thinks of you as boring, that's their take. Do not undervalue your own way of living, your choices. Sometimes we make doubtful choices, but through those choices, we find out what we like and what we don't like. We find out what is good for us and what is not. We find the support system that we need and we don't need. We find the friends that actually are true to us or not. Allow yourself to be bored. Allow yourself to have the boredom in your life so you can be creative. Thank you so much for being with me. And I know it's been a long time, but I missed you guys. I missed filming. I missed being on camera and just having the opportunity to talk to you all. So thank you so much for being with me and supporting me. Kisses, and I don't know. I just dwell here.